We need them this afternoon. Actually, today in particular. Yeah. We're talking about flood precautions. Yeah, it rained today. I've seen videos. Actually, it's trending on Twitter right now. Accra floods. Yeah. So we need this conversation. The team at Bedrock Insurance have been so generous to let us have a bit of their chief operation officer's time. Very busy man. He's a big man. But today we decided to invite him over to talk about flood insurance. Chief Operations Officer of Bedrock Insurance, Mr. George Appiah-Addae is here. Chairman, you're welcome.
Thank you, Alexis.
And thank you so much for making time to come educate us here on Joy FM. We're grateful.
It's great to be on your show.
Yes. Also, and it's been raining today. How's the weather when you're coming?
Surprising.
Is it still raining out there? Or it's drizzling now,
It's just playing tricks as if it's gone, but it's
not gone. You know, and it's funny. It wasn't raining really hard. But I saw videos, even right now, I went on Twitter and I saw that the number one trend is what? Accra floods.
Yeah.
Wow.
Serious thing.
Very serious thing. Okay, but for the insurance industry, flood is also catered for.
It is.
What does flood mean to businesses, homes, and individuals in insurance?
Okay, let me say good afternoon to the listeners. And flood, if we talk about flood, as far as insurance is concerned, then we're looking at loss or damage to property that will be caused by flood. And in this case, when insurance will look at flood as escape or overflowing of water from its natural course. And we're looking at when water overflows or diverts its course from maybe a river, a canal, a lake, or even from the public sewage, and rushes into people's property, causing damage to such properties, then we will say we have suffered loss occasioned by flood. So in the nutshell, flood, as far as insurance is concerned, is when water overflows in banks. Now this should be seen different from where maybe as a result of defect in construction, with a small rain you have water dripping and then there's some damage and people will say they have suffered flood damage. That is different.
Oh, okay. Wow, okay. That explains it perfectly. But I often hear of fire and allied perils insurance. Now, does this cover floods as well, or you have a special policy for floods?
All right. So you cannot just get up and say, I want to insure against flood. You must have a foundation, which is the fire and allied perils policy.
Okay.
And I'm sure my colleagues that came ahead of me had mentioned the fire and allied perils, where we have the standard fire, which is the fire, lightning, and limited explosion. Then you have additional perils. So from the additional perils, you can select a flood as a peril in addition to your standard fire. Then you could have your insurance policy being extended from fire to include flood.
Ah, right. So I can't come and say I'm buying a flood policy, but I can buy a fire and allied perils policy and add flood to it.
Yes. You could also have an all-risk policy, which is comprehensive by nature, and that extends automatically to cover flood.
Okay, I understand that. So what precautions must policyholders take when it comes to floods?
All right, let's just, usually all insurance policies will say that the policyholder must act as if they were never insured. So if you have insurance, that doesn't mean that because you have insurance that covers flood, you should just go and sleep. You must also take certain steps to minimize the loss if it cannot be eliminated. All right, so some of the things that we require people to do is to look at your surrounding. If all your environment, your premises is tiled or concrete, you should be able to create some greening so that when there's rain, the water can sag. But you don't leave the water on the concrete surface and then it will, in a short time, find its way to cause damage. You can also look at desilting drains within the environment, either just within your premises or surrounding premises. Now, when drains are choked, then with a little water that rushes in, because it cannot flow to the end, it will divert and begin to cause damage.
Yeah.
But if you want to go on the precautionary measure, then you desilt your drains to create a free flow for all the water that comes as a result of rain. You can also look at not ensuring that you do not place items on the bare floor. So for instance, in an office environment, you see people leave computers, processing units and printers and other things on the floor. With a little water that comes into the room, there's going to be damage. So we advise that for such items, you lift them above the bare floor.
Yeah.
Where you have stock, warehouses and other things, we advise that you create pallets. So you lift the items above the floor. And usually we advise that you should have pallets that are maybe around the knee level. So when there's water that gushing in, it will be preventing it from having direct contact with the items. But the extent to which precautionary measures you take depends on the history of the place. So if you have a place that you know that water usually will be coming through a particular door, then it will be important for you to maybe put a concrete base to prevent the water from going under the door, because that is when it's going to have access into your premises. So these are a few of the precautionary measures that people can take to prevent flood damage occurring at their premises.
Well, good stuff. I know the 3rd June 2015 flood fire disaster is still an incident that's fresh with grievous impact on our emotions. But what could a driver or a business owner have done when the situation became imminent?
All right. So usually if you're establishing a business, you go to a place and you are supposed to survey and find out what risks and other things that you are exposed to. So if the precautionary measures that we have spoken about just now are things that you have done and you still know that the water or the flood is going to affect you, there's one thing that we say: you avoid the risk. So you vacate the place. Now, if maybe that loss, you have people with their vehicles also being affected. Now, for a vehicle owner, if you see danger coming, you move away from the danger. So a lot of the people who had their vehicles there trying to cash in with the passengers that were stranded and all that, the best thing for them to have done was to have moved away from the place. If you have moved out of that place, you wouldn't be caught in the fire or the damage that came with the flood. So risk avoidance is key. When you have done all things to prevent or precautionary measures and you still know that something else could happen, you avoid the risk.
That's interesting. So are vehicles that are submerged in floods covered if they had a comprehensive insurance cover?
Yes, our comprehensive insurance policy has provision for damage caused by flood. So, but here, let's note that we talk about this flood as when you have parked your vehicle and as a result of the overflow of the water, it comes into contact with the vehicle, but not when you see the water gushing and then you decide to drive into it and causes damage to it. That is more like willful negligence, and insurance will not cover that. So comprehensive insurance policy covers damage caused by flood, but we are looking at flood in a situation where the water rather travels to the vehicle and not the driver taking the vehicle into the water. There are distinctions here that we need to establish.
Okay, yeah. I get that. Well, the driver could also be driving away but still get engulfed.
Then that one, the water
that could be it. Yeah.
Yes, had come to you, but not you driving into the water.
Okay.
Because as I said earlier, you are supposed to act as if you were uninsured.
Yeah.
So you have your vehicle. Let's assume it was not compulsory to insure, and you see water, stagnant water. Will you just drive into it when you don't know the depths? You don't know how serious that collision is. You will want to avoid it. And in the same way, whether you have insurance or not, we expect that you take the same precaution.
What would be your general advice to people out there regards to taking a policy, probably an all-risk one that would include flood? Because now it's raining, and I've seen lots of places in Accra flooded this morning.
All right, so I'll say that flood is something that can cause devastating damage to property and life. And so it's important that if you're a business, if you are a private property owner, you consider insurance and consider extending whatever insurance you have to cover flood. Because when the damage occurs, it is not everyone that will be able to restore the damage, because sometimes the financial commitment to restore is quite enormous. So when you have insurance, then you can be rest assured that when the damage occurs, your insurance company will be there to restore you to the loss, to the position that you were prior to the event. Okay. So it's important that we take insurance seriously and take material damage policies and have the opportunity to extend to cover flood so that all our risks associated with flood will be covered.
If you want a very solid Bedrock, well, Bedrock Insurance is there for you as well. Maybe you should tell us a little bit about some of the policies and tell us about Bedrock Insurance.
Thank you, Lesis. Bedrock is a non-life insurance company, so we operate within the non-life space, talking about motor insurance, fire, marine, and those classes. But interestingly, we have sat and realized that there's a bit of a gap in the customer care that clients are receiving. So one of our key drivers is customer care, convenience for our clients. So we put in place measures that will enable our clients to access us wherever they are, competitive pricing. And there's one thing that, Lesis, you will not believe. For Bedrock, we have what we call 3 before 3. And we're talking about all motor claims that are reported to Bedrock before 3 p.m. on any day. If the claim is within a threshold of 3,000 cedis, we pay you before close of work.
Wow.
And that is what we do. And we do this with all the promise that we have given our clients. And there's evidence and testimony all over the place.
Good stuff.
That is Bedrock.
Well, guys, you might want to speak to the team at Bedrock Insurance, and I like the conviction and the passion with which Mr. George Appiah-Addae speaks about the products. He's a Chief Operations Officer, and I got to say thank you so much for updating us and educating us on flood this afternoon. In regards to the team at Bedrock, yeah.
And a little package here for you.
Oh, and you're so kind.
Obviously, I was waiting to see your lady friend
Baba.
Yes. Obviously, one for her too,
I'll keep that for her. Yes, I'll keep that for her. That's so kind of you.
Right,
Thank you so much. Great. Mr. George Appiah-Addae, he's Chief Operations Officer of Bedrock Insurance. Amazing stuff. Well, so go out there, speak to the team at Bedrock Insurance, and they will definitely sort you out. If you want clarity on any of the other things that we've spoken about, you can speak to the Ghana Insurance Association Claims Management and Advice Bureau on 0800 44 2000. Every day we update you on something about insurance here on Drive Time on Joy.